The most recent resurrection of this trend happened in 2022 when Rolex released this quite striking and extravagant Daytona model, which became an instant classic and ultimate in-your-face FU watch. And the floodgates opened, the big brand followed suit almost immediately, Patek Philippe, Omega, Audemars Piguet and so forth. So I wasn't majorly surprised when Saint Martin sent me this Rainbow SN0116 for review. Okay, I was surprised a little bit, and I even reached out to them to clarify what was behind the inspiration for the skin diver. I've got my answer, and now this watch is here. So how good is it? Well, let's take a closer look and find out. Hello and welcome back. You know, I only recently checked my channel analytics and apparently more than 80% of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. That is 8 out of 10 of you who are watching this video right now. That is apparently a dramatic oversight which can be very easily fixed. All you need to do is click that subscribe button. It is of course absolutely free, but it does help channel a lot to navigate the obscure YouTube algorithm. So let's examine the design of this another release in the series of Saint Martin original design lineup and review Saint Martin's answer to my question about the inspiration for this watch. But before we do, a quick disclaimer, Saint Martin did send me this timepiece for review and I don't have to send it back. On my part, as always, yours truly agreed to share a comprehensive review of this watch and point you to the product listings for the sharpest deal possible. So naturally, all the links will be in the description of this video. So back to design, Saint Martin's reply was the decision-making process behind the inspiration for this watch was actually very simple, and I quote, Rolex, Zenith, Audemars Piguet all have such rainbow bezel designs. We tried it on this model when designing and found it interesting, so we finally produced it. Yes. As simple as that. Frequent viewers of my channel might remember that I only recently reviewed this original designed Saint Martin GMT watch, and at the first glance we can see a common theme here, and it looks like these two models are almost identical. However, there are some very subtle differences, and the most interesting one is the difference in the case height. While the original GMT version is by no means girthy, it is only 12.2 mm high, which is perfectly fine, especially taking into account that we have NH34 GMT movement here, which does need that bit of extra space for that additional GMT hand on the pinion. Now, this model doesn't have GMT complication and therefore uses three-handed version of the Seagull movement, the ubiquitous NH35. And Saint Martin could take a lazy approach and use the same case and the same crystal and nobody would have noticed. However, Saint Martin managed to reduce the case height by almost 4 mm, taking a full advantage of a slimmer caliber in this watch, which shows their high attention to detail on each model they develop. Now I put all the overall dimensions and movement specs on the screen. It is very well proportioned watch and should work pretty much for most wrist sizes. We have enough links in the supplied bracelet to cover wrists up to 8¼ inch or 21 cm in circumference, and this watch is supplied weighs 133 grams and 125 grams after adjusting it to my about 7-inch wrist. Right, so case presents a full stainless steel construction. It is well finished with satin longitudinal brushing on top of the lugs and along the flanks, and we get this elegant high polish sapphire running along the both sides of the case. There are no crown guards, and to underline that this is not just a fun looking timepiece but also a functional skin diver, we have drilled lugs here too. The side screw-down crown is well proportioned and the threading is smooth and easy to operate. Flipping the watch around and we are presented with a sterile flat brush screw-on case back. Overall a very clean and well-finished case with declared 200 meters of water resistance, which is also different from the GMT model, which, if you remember, featured only 100 meters. We have a double dome sapphire crystal here. The crystal is raised and we can even classify it as boxed. According to product listings, we have a clear anti-reflective undercoating here. I must say that legibility is very good, in part thanks to the high contrast between the silver hands and the black dial background, so no complaints here. We have a unidirectional 120 click bezel here, as we would expect on a diver watch. It is a coin edge bezel, and it has of course the centerpiece of the skin diver, a sapphire insert, which pretty much covers most of the colors of the visible spectrum, also known as rainbow. So, a few key points here. First, as I just mentioned, the bezel insert is made out of sapphire and therefore not only looks good but also has a very high scratch resistance. And while we're on the subject of sapphire, a fun fact, the high-end watches like Rainbow, Rolex, Daytona also use sapphire gemstones of different colors to assemble that rainbow pattern. Those are of course natural sapphire gemstones and not artificial like we have here, and therefore are considerably more expensive. But having a natural gemstones is not the only factor that drives the price up. As a matter of fact, almost 90% of the gemstones initially selected for Rolex bezel are actually discarded to achieve the best color gradient transition effect. Okay, and back to our San Martin bezel here. The second and notable point about this bezel is the lumed markers. San Martin use similar lume here as on the dial, so the result is very good. And the third point that I think deserves a special mention is the bezel action. It is very, very good. The clicks are crisp and tactile, and the resistance is pretty much just right. And here is how it sounds. Zooming in on the dial, and we have a really good execution here. The dial design and layout is very similar to the original design GMT I reviewed before. We have applied multifaceted hour markers, a well-proportioned set of hands, and a date window at 6 o'clock position for a good visual balance. The key difference from the GMT version is more playful choice of colors, like the green second hand and the green printed minute track on the white part of the dial perimeter. And to complete the picture, we have an applied logo under the 12 o'clock marker and 2 lines of text above the date window. Unlike the dial, it is not cluttered, and the choice of colors is subtle and works nicely with the rainbow bezel. And of course, we must not forget the lume. It is consistent, and we have enough lume for a good extended glow on this diver, including on the bezel. One thing though, the date lume, while it is actually a useful feature, in this particular case, definitely doesn't last as long as the lume on the rest of this dial, so possibly something San Martin can address in the future. As for the bracelet, San Martin delivered excellent bits of rice, solid stainless steel bracelet on this watch. We have very well integrated inverted end links, which are also constructed from solid stainless steel and finished in a similar style as the lugs for even more seamless transition. The individual links are actually constructed from 7 different parts. 5 inner high-polished beads and 2 outer parts, which result in a very smooth and comfortable bracelet with plenty of articulation while still maintaining pretty good tolerances. We have screws connecting the links, as we would expect by now from a premium San Martin watch. The sides of the links are brushed on the top and polished on the sides, and in general the finishing is very good. And we have already very familiar San Martin clasp with on-the-fly adjustment. Just in case you haven't seen this excellent clasp before, we have a fully milled double pusher clasp here. The deployment action is smooth and robust. It also features San Martin's applied logo, and we have a good finishing here too, with top and sides of the clasp brushed with a thin chamfers on both sides of it. And we of course get San Martin's on-the-fly adjustment mechanism here too, allowing for about 9mm of length flexibility on the go. We had a couple of really hot days here in London with temperatures climbing up to 29 degrees, so I've learned to appreciate this on-the-fly adjustment even more. So the price varies based on the available sales and promotions, moving in the range of about $240 up to about $260, which is in general in line with San Martin's other watches. So my only recommendation here would be to look out for any promotions or discounts, which we have plenty of these days on AliExpress. So in regards to my verdict, well, the build quality here is top-notch, so we are pretty much guaranteed a good-looking, robust and very practical skin diver. And as a fun summer timepiece, this one is as versatile as they come. However, while it definitely tries to ride that colorful rainbow trend, is it flamboyant enough to match the in-your-face characters of luxury timepieces from Rolex and Omega, or does this more subtle character suit this San Martin more? What are your thoughts? Well, do let us know in the comments. And for more San Martin watches or skin divers, check out my playlist on this screen over here. Don't forget to like this video if you find it helpful, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, take care, and I will see you in the next video.